how's it going? I figured I'd do a video on Goldfish Care today. So first off, this is my Fantail goldfish. It's not very focused well. You would think he has swim bladder, but he really doesn't. The other day I found that he is missing one of his pectoral fins, which you could see, and it makes him swim very oddly. I'm looking into that, but that is my Fantail. That is my Ryukin, which is my personal favorite out of the three. And it's my Blackmore right there. And these are all Fancy Goldfish, and I have them in a 55-gallon tank. And I'm going to be discussing some care that you need for them. So first off, substrate. For substrate, gravel's fine, as long you're supposed to not let it be able to fit in their mouth so they can't swallow it. But I've never had a problem with it. Honestly, I've seen them pick it up and move it around, and they like moving it around and everything else. So, you know, it's kind of wary with that. I would personally, for first time, if you don't know your goldfish, definitely get gravel larger than it can fit in its mouth. I heard sand works okay. I probably wouldn't go for it for a beginner, just because sand is a bit harder to clean up for cleanups and water changes and everything else. But yeah. And second, lighting. Lighting, they could have any type of lighting, just like any other fish. If you want to get a plant, which that plant right there is a live plant, then you got to get a light that sports plant life, which is a bit more expensive, but it will make your tank look a bit nicer. Since there's only one plant here, it kind of doesn't really make a difference because it's just kind of surrounded by plastic plants. But that's besides the point. Alright, 3, feeding. Goldfish, a little thing about them is goldfish do not have stomachs. It was largely rumored, and I actually researched it, and it was true. They only contain a large and small intestine, so the food definitely goes through them a lot faster, which means there's a lot more build-up in their poop and everything else. But you definitely want to feed them a small amount, 2 to 3 times a day. Oh, I feel sorry for him. But yeah, you definitely want to feed them just a small amount of food, 2 to 3 times a day. The food I use, I got it from Jack's Pets. It just says goldfish pellets. It's made by, I think, OSI. It works great. They love it. A little bubble eye goldfish on there. It'll last you a long time. It's a little expensive, just like for, I think it was like $5 for this little thing, but it'll last a long time. It looks like it won't last that long, but it actually does last quite a while. But any kind of pelleted food will work. They don't like pelleted food all the time. Like, you can feed them that all the time and they'd live, but they like deshelled peas and little things like that. You could research into that. I just usually feed them deshelled peas, but I know there's other things that you could feed them other than pelleted foods. So let's go to space. So if you're not getting a fancy goldfish, if you're just getting a comet goldfish or your normal common goldfish that you get that runs around 30 cents for at your pet store, they definitely need a lot of room if you're keeping them as a pet. Usually they're sold as feeder fish to certain types of snakes or turtles and things like that. But if you're keeping one as a pet and you want it to truly flourish, it would have to be in the settings of a koi pond almost. They get very large. They get around 1.5 feet. But as you can see, these goldfish, they're fancy goldfish, so they only require 20 gallons for the first fish and then 10 gallons for each additional fish you have. But usually you kind of want to understock that a little bit because they are very messy eaters. And that will lead into your filter. Your filter will have to move at least 10 times the amount of water in the tank per hour. And they don't mind a strong current. I have the Tetra EX70 Whisper filter. It works great. I would highly recommend it. It's not that loud at all. I have it in my room and I sleep fine with it. I don't hardly hear it at all. The only time you really hear it is, say you're getting lazy with your water changes or your water level's down, and you could hear the sprinkling of the water hitting the surface. But other than that, it's not a problem. Decorations, you could have basically any type of decorations, but if you're getting a bubble eye goldfish, then you definitely don't want to get any hard rock decorations, and you want to go with a silk plants, soft stuff that won't damage their the sacs under their eyes, because they're very prone to getting popped. So we want to go to live plants. They usually like to uproot them and pick on them. I did have like 3 or 4 in here, but this is the last surviving one. I would go with bigger plants, bigger leafier plants. They'll eat off of it, just like this. This used to have little things all around it, but now it's just the top that has it, which kind of looks cool. But either way, it's growing a new little thing on the bottom, so hopefully they won't deroot that and kill it. You could have any type of live plants, it's not a big deal, as long as you have again, a light to support that. So we want to talk about surface area now. Surface area, you definitely want to have a rectangular or square tank for your goldfish. I wouldn't go any other way. I wouldn't go with a tall. You definitely want a longer aquarium, because first of all, they like to swim side to side, not up to down. And second of all, they require lots of oxygen in the tank, and that's why I have a live plant one, a bubbler which creates oxygen also, and more surface area creates more oxygen to get into the top, and that's very good for them. They need lots of oxygen. The misconception about them is like they could live in bowls and stuff, and the reason they're always sucking at the top is because they're trying to get oxygen in through their mouth, but it never works. So now we want to talk about heater. I have a heater in here. It's not turned on right now because it's pretty warm in my room. But during the winter months and stuff, I like to turn on. They like anywhere from 60 to 75 degrees. I wouldn't go, I wouldn't go near 60. I wouldn't go near 75. I'd go around 65. But as long as you live in a regular temperament where you live, it's fine. If you live in a very hot temperament, say, whereas like in Florida, or not even in Florida, just like somewhere where it gets like in the 90s and the 100s and it starts getting up, I'd probably I wouldn't throw ice in there, but I get some kind of chiller or something to cool it down. I'd research more into that. I don't know much about that. I just know that when it gets colder, they are cold water fish, so it doesn't bother them too bad. But once it gets around 55 and stuff, they don't like it anymore. It's just not good for them, as pets anyway. Water changes, you're supposed to do water changes maybe once a week. You're supposed to do like a 20% water change, but you could do them throughout the week, and you could do like a 5 or 10% water change like 3 to 4 times a week. That's fine. It's not a big deal at all. They definitely like good clean water and everything else. It's important that they have that. Before you actually acquire your fish, you definitely want to go with a fishless cycle. And fishless cycling, I would research more into. Fishless cycling, if you type the nitrogen cycle into YouTube up above, you'll come up with lots of videos on how fishless cycling works and everything else. It's also called the nitrogen cycle. And you definitely need to do this before you get your fish. So yes, you do need to actually acquire your tank and have it set up and everything before you get your fish. Don't just buy it all at once and throw it all together with your fish in there. As much as you want to get them right then. Lots of pet stores will reserve your fish for you, or any animal for you, if they know that you're going to buy them and you're just waiting to get your aquarium set up for them. One thing that works well with fishless cycling that I have is AquaSafe. It's good for starting fishless cycling, and you need to use this with your water changes also to take all the iron and chlorine and everything else out of your tap water, so it'll make it safe for the fish. And you definitely need that. So if there's any other questions you guys have, just hit me up. Don't really care how you hit me up, email me, whatever, message me, comment, like, comment, subscribe. If there's anything I missed, any questions, comments, concerns, definitely comment below, and I will definitely try to get to you as quickly as possible.